I'm Laura Smith, and this is my demonstration speech. Everybody likes cookies, but recipes can sometimes get a little confusing or hard to follow, sometimes even time-consuming. Well, I figured out a way to combine my two favorite things, cookies and cake mix. Let's go ahead and get started. You need to preheat the oven to 365 degrees. I'll go ahead and do that while I'm getting everything else together. The really great thing about this recipe is it only takes 4 ingredients: cake mix, chocolate chips, oil, and 2 eggs. Now, cake mix, it doesn't really matter what kind you use. I like the yellow kind myself. I think it works best for this. But anyway, you pour it in your mixing bowl. And it's going to have a lot of lumps in it, but that's not going to be a big deal because we're going to mix that out pretty soon. Alright, get that out of the way. Okay. Next, I add a half a cup of oil. These cookies have a lot of oil in them, but that's good because you won't have to grease the pan up later. Next is the 2 eggs. Be careful about the shells, because I'm usually pretty bad about that myself. Here comes the hard part, but first I'm going to wash my hands. Okay, now mixing this up takes a little while, because, you know, cake mix is powdery and kind of fine, but it's not a big deal. And the batter's a really pretty yellow color when you're done. People can use any kind of cake mix you want. I've seen the white kind before, and that's pretty good, but the chocolate, and if you use white chocolate chips, that's really good. Now it takes a little while because there's lots of lumps in it. And I like to make sure it's mixed up good because those don't taste any good when you're eating them. Alright. These probably aren't going to taste like your traditional chocolate chip cookies because, of course, they taste like cake, but I like the difference. Alright, now you go ahead and use your cup of chocolate chips. I guess you could use more, but I think that too many of them gets the consistency a little bit off. Okay, now your batter should be looking about like that. It's pretty delicious, and I eat a lot of that usually, but I'm not going to here. It's probably not appropriate. Now, here's the pan, and remember what I said, don't spray it. I usually would just use the spoon and kind of just, if you want big cookies, you can use more, but I'd say a spoon's amount's a pretty good size. And if you're using a smaller pan like mine, you probably don't want to do more than 4 cookies across. And the good thing about this is you can just kind of eyeball it. I think I'm only going to use 3 this time. Make sure you spread them out pretty far from each other because, of course, when they cook, they're going to start spreading out on their own. Okay, now the great thing about this is you're already pretty much done. Now, your pan should be looking about like this. And I'm going to go ahead and put it in the oven. It takes about 8 to 10 minutes to cook, but I'll probably be taking them out a little bit early because I like cookies kind of doughy. But anyway, I'm going to put them in, and then I'll be back in a few. Okay, I took the cookies out of the oven. Be sure to use oven mitts, it's pretty hot. But they should look something like this. I know they look a little raw, but they harden up pretty fast with this kind of cake mix. So I'm going to put them on the cooling rack, and then they'll be ready. Alright then, your cookies are done and they look delicious. And it wasn't that hard, was it? Any questions?